I am your Oracle Goddess, Two Claps Oracle, and I am here with my nighttime reading. As you know, I am reading from the Mystical Journey Oracle cards. All I use is Oracle cards. I do not use tarot cards, and this is where we use the three-part spread suggested by the author of these cards. Like I said, you make sure when you get your Oracle cards, always read the book that comes with them, because it can tell you how to connect to spirit, connect to the author, connect your intentions, and then essentially activate the cards. All of the people that are just getting cards and they're just opening them without doing the instructions, most of them are not doing it the proper way. So let's get into tonight's evening read. And the evening read is isolation. A lot of you out there are very, very upset because you feel like you're isolated. You feel like you were done wrong. You feel like people stabbed you in the back, they hurt you, your boyfriend left you, your girlfriend left you, they cheated on you, they abused you, they tried to use you for your money, they used you for your energy, they're still trying to harness and use your light. But I'm here to tell you that tonight's reading is about isolation. The reason that you don't have the money, that you don't have the job, you don't have the car, you don't have the new friends, is because God has you isolated. It is a lot like a seed in the ground, okay? What you need to understand is when a person digs a hole to put a sunflower seed in the ground, then they cover it with dirt. That seed is isolated by itself. The only thing that the seed uses to grow is sunlight and water, okay? So what happens is God is isolating you so no one can disturb your grounding that you're about to sprout out of, except the things that are sent to protect you. See, God knew if you did not become isolated, there would be too many weeds and dandelions and false things in the garden, and you would never grow. But what happens is the fastest way to a blossoming garden is a whole bunch of seeds that are untouched, isolated, lots of plant food, sunlight, and water, okay? So I need you to understand this reading is isolation, and I promise you, you have done everybody right. They have done you wrong, and you're trying to figure out, when you look on their social media, why are they on vacation? Because I'm doing the same thing. When you look on their social media, why do they have a new car? Why do they have a new relationship? Why can she have kids and I can't have kids? Why are their businesses flourishing? Why am I on the verge of eviction? You're asking yourself a whole bunch of whys. But please let me tell you something, sweetheart. It is not spring, and it's not meant for you to blossom. All flowers blossom best in the right season. Maybe those people that you're watching are blossoming in the wrong season of winter because it's fake and it's barren. I would prefer to blossom as a beautiful carnation, sunflower, or a rose in the season of spring, when I know I'm supposed to be blossoming and blooming, than blossoming prematurely. Because most of the time when something happens prematurely, like when a woman has a premature birth, that means something has gone wrong. Ooh, I don't know who needs to hear this, but let's get right into this reading. I ain't gonna hold you. Y'all know I do my three-part spread, and I'm trying to keep it to 9 minutes, but y'all know I get on here and get the preaching. Somebody done told me in my last video my voice sound like Juanita Bynum, child. I almost started shouting, okay? Let's get right into it. We have our card for our past, our present, and our future. Let's get into this isolation. Let's go right into this first card. The first card is authenticity. Come on now, didn't I just say that? Let me tell you something. The authentic season for a flower to blossom from the ground is in the spring. April showers bring May flowers, okay? So you have to go through a whole season of isolation. Remember it. I'm going to put it in the context like I said. So we're going to speak in flower form, okay? It's not time for you to blossom. As a matter of fact, some of you have been planted prematurely by God so you can blossom early. See, you'll be the person to blossom first in the spring and the summer season, okay? While others have to wait to the end of the season because they didn't trust God's will. They didn't like being isolated. There's somebody out there right now, you have been authentic in your physical being, but in your spiritual being, you have been unauthentic. And let me tell you what I mean by that. That means that when God told you to isolate, you didn't do it. You were still secretly texting that boyfriend behind your friend's back after they helped you get over that breakup. You were secretly still sending money and talking to your mother after God told you to get away from her. You were secretly still sleeping with that woman's husband or that man's wife after you told everybody that you wasn't going to do it anymore, right? So what happens is some of you are blocking your own blessings, because in order for you to be planted, this is in your past, in order for you to be planted and in order for you to thrive, you have have to be authentic. See, you have to be your authentic self. And what happens is people misconstrue the meaning of authenticity. Your authentic self could be somebody that like to sleep with somebody else's husband. There is a woman out there, you're trying to question yourself and ask you why your husband keep messing with this woman. He keep messing with her because him and her are the same, authentically demonic when it comes to relationships. But God is telling you, stay in the ground. See, the past represents the digging of the hole, okay? Like I say, the past represents the digging of the hole. God dug a hole so he can drop your authentic seed in the hole by itself, okay? So you're going to be authentic. So you have been authentically planted. No. See, what happens when a person is not being authentic and they prematurely blossom, it's because somebody took a handful of seeds and just threw them all in a hole that they didn't even spend time building. See, God took the time to map out your hole, put you in that hole, and then cover you in his grace and his mercy. That other hole, it's gonna blossom. But see, when you blossom, when your sunflower blossom, it's gonna be authentic, it's gonna come in the right season, and it's gonna be amazing. When their authentic selves begin to blossom in the wrong season, it's a whole bunch of weeds and dandelions around them. The birds like to eat from it. People like to pull them. Some of the best flowers in the world are ones that people just naturally know to leave alone, okay? So that is your past. So remember, your past is the symbolization of the whole being dug in the ground and that seed being planted, okay? Come on now, your shadow work. I don't know who needs to hear this, but your shadow work is the equivalent of God covering the hole with the seed with his grace and mercy. See, he isolated you because now he needs you to fully conceptualize. I'm sorry. Y'all know I write books, so let me rechange that so people don't say, what does conceptualize mean? So I'm going to go back and be relatable. Understand. God has isolated you and covered you so you can understand that it's time to do your shadow work in your season of development. So as the water comes and the sunshine comes and you begin to grow, he's going to teach you who not to deal with. He's going to teach you that it's better to be alone in certain seasons because too much energy around you can make things go haywire. He's going to teach you what a narcissist is. He's going to teach you what a demonic empath is. He's going to teach you what the shadow realm is. He's going to teach you how to use your light to shine in while doing your shadow work. See, a lot of us want to rise to the top and you want to be where you see all of these negative beings at because you feel that you have left out. You've been left out. Yes, you've been left out in this season because like I said on the first card, the only way a woman has a premature baby is because something goes wrong. And let me tell you sometimes, and I hate to say this, sometimes a preemie is born or sometimes a child is birthed so prematurely that there is nothing a doctor trained in medicine can do to save it. So would you rather go through the heartache, go through the shadow work, do your shadow work and come out on the other side? Look at it. That is a queen. Come out on the other side, blossoming in the right future. So your present is for you to stay in the ground, isolated, because it's not time for you to blossom yet. Why? Because April showers bring May flowers. God ain't say nothing about no sunflower, no carnation, no daffodil, no dandelion, not even the weeds blossom in winter. So you're seeing people with financial abundance and prosperity that just seem like it happened in the winter. Why? Because something is going wrong in the spirit realm. And guess what? Satan came through on his promise. I'm going to give you all the desires of your heart if you do what I say do. So they rose against you and God isolated you. Satan thinks that he's won and he hasn't. So he's rewarded them. But guess what? He prematurely sprouted them in a season of cold barrenness while you still in the ground being covered by God's grace and his mercy. Okay, so let's go back to it. This is the digging of the hole. This is the past. God was telling you to be authentic. Okay, and he wanted you to be able to see people for their authentic selves as well, because a lot of them authentically was against you. Your present is him putting the seed in the hole and covering it with his grace and mercy. Your future, clearing your space. God has covered you in the future coming, the spring season, your sprouting season. He has put water on you. He has isolated you. He has made you a strategic hole. He has literally had you go down there and work on yourself and teach you what to stay away from. Because when that flower and that sunflower reaches full bloom by May, there is not going to be anything left in the ground to compete with you. See, those other flowers have been dug up prematurely. The reason they were dug up prematurely because God knew he only wanted one sunflower, one rose, one carnation, whatever flower resonates with you. He only wanted one to blossom and win the contest of the most beautiful, the most powerful, the most spiritual, and the most abundant, and the one that he showed the most grace and mercy to, because you are the one that had the tenacity to go in a hole by yourself and be isolated in your past. Allow him to cover a hole even when you didn't know where it was going to go, and you stayed in isolation and worked on yourself. Because he knows for a fact April showers bring May flowers. And when he's done with you, you're going to blossom beyond the level of physical and spiritual comprehension. See, somebody needs to understand. Look at this. This sister, look at this right here. See, this is when you were battling with trying to get out of your isolation and go compete and run back to your friends and family because you wanted what you thought they had, right? But look at her. She's a little bit on the witchy side, right? But you stayed steadfast. And then God came out and he bought you and made you something that's unrecognizable. Look at her with the side cut. It's just giving the bang. The bang. Oh. Don't play with God, okay? So in closing for this night, we're going to call this isolation. Enjoy your isolation, because some of you, where you are headed, you ain't going to have no more isolation time. You're going to be so busy with your abundance, so busy with your children, so busy with prosperity that you're going to wish that you was back sad and down, laying in your bed all day, or hanging out with yourself, wishing you had friends. There's going to be so many people around you because of all you and your soul tribe are going to be so abundant and your purpose is so big. You're not going to have no time to be alone. So remember, your authentic self is what made God dig a specialized hole for you, and a authentic hole for those who were against you. In the midst of building that hole for you, he dropped your seed alone in the hole designed by him. And then the others, they're dropped in a hole together that can only bring weeds and dandelions and non-bearing fruit. April showers bring May flowers. In isolation, God made sure the only thing that could bother you in the spirit or in the physical realm were things that were sent to help you. In the gardening realm, that would have been the equivalent of your water, your sunshine, and then your plant food, and you sprouted. See, you don't even know these people could have used 100 different things in witch tactics and spells and hexes to get the false promises of physical gain and monetary gain, right? And worldly gain. They did 100 different things to try to knock you off your path and get awarded by the demonic realm. And they did prematurely. So they used 100 and God said you only needed 3. And can I tell you something? When you were in the authentic stage with them, you were already whooping their behind because they could never be you. Your isolation stage, you grew past them and you were just sleeping and hibernating in the spirit and learning what you need to do on your shadow side. And when it comes time for you to blossom, I need you to understand they're going to still be here, because in order to get here, God is telling them that they need to be authentic in his will, not in Satan's. So you're worried about somebody and people who are stuck here, and you're already presently here and you are headed here. You're going to get here, and let me tell you something, you're not even going to remember them. All right, now I think that was good enough. All right, let's close out our 3 spread oracle reading. Good night, everyone.